My Time Podcast with Asher Chua.
Okay, there we go. Man, you've been putting in work.
Man, I got a lot more to put in. I see
Tell
you
me-
be putting in a lot of work too.
A little bit. Doing my best.
So talk
Man.
to me.
It's been a while. What is it? Since 2009, 2010?
Yeah, 2010, I could say, yeah.
Gotcha. I know from Southern Poly, I ended up transferring to Tech about 2012.
Yeah.
And then it might have been 2011. I think I was there at least 2 years, and then got out 2013, went to the Midwest, spent about 2 years out that way, did some work with a construction company.
Yeah. How was that?
It was pretty good. I spent close to a year in Louisiana, and actually a little bit more than a year. It was a first for me, kind of seeing the culture there and spending Mardi Gras there. That was fun.
Yeah, that was an eye opener right there.
Yeah, but I mean, even with that, it's kind of thinking back. When you first go into work, they have like the orientation period. So then they have everybody kind of split up, and they send some people to this job or that job. So it's like a couple of us were in the same area, and then the main office is over in Houston.
Mhm.
So we figured a couple of those guys, they carpooled over, and then we just went from there, and we all met in New Orleans. Somebody like had booked a suite. And basically it's almost like we were right there, not too far from like the main strip or whatever.
Yeah.
And we almost had one of those hangover moments,
Oh.
the movie moments where everybody comes together at first, but then by the end of the night, start of the morning, they're all trying to figure out who's where.
Yeah,
And,
man, because everybody will stray away and do their own
right.
thing on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, but it was interesting. I thought, I was like, oh, this is what people are talking about. It was new to me, and I was like, okay, it's an experience. And I guess once we all kind of got together, after getting kind of spread apart, I ended up being the one that everybody was looking for, because I decided to step out on the balcony and make a phone call and just check in with my folks, see
Yeah.
how everybody was doing. And they're all inside freaking out because they got like a stranger's over in the corner, and they're like, who's this guy? And it's like a friend of a friend's. And they're like, oh my God, we lost Asher. And I was like, I happen to peek my head in, and I just see like this circus going on. It's like, oh no, I'm good, guys. I'm good.
Yeah,
How about,
man.
how about yourself?
Man, I've been ever since 2012. Well, I graduated from Southern Poly in 2013,
Mhm.
and then I started working for a firm out here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then a few people branched out, and then they made their own company, and then they
Yeah.
contacted me a year after that, and it was out there in Houston.
Mhm.
And so I took the next leap right there and worked out there, and I worked out there from 2015 all the way until about 2018, so about 3 years.
Okay.
And it was a total different atmosphere. That was something I really liked, and I'm glad I took that leap.
Mhm.
And then when I had my first child, I had moved back to Atlanta,
Yeah.
and so from there, I was working at a firm, architecture firm, and they was just so stone age. Like all of
Right.
the programs that they use was just too old and outdated, and I wanted to bring them into the new programs and everything. And
Right.
then it was probably about 6-7 months in, and it was like, yeah, they had a meeting with everybody. It was like, yeah, we're not going to use the new programs. And I was like, well, this is where I ended then, And
Right.
but in the like while I was working there, I had just started wrapping cars because I had seen somebody in Houston had an Audi A8,
Mhm.
and I had just bought it in Houston, and I seen somebody driving with a chrome car and everything. So I went to their place or their shop,
Yeah.
and I seen it, and I was like, wow, let me go ahead and wrap this car. And I changed the look of a 2012 Audi A8 to make it
Mhm.
look like it was a 2018.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people was just asking, like, man, what do you do? And I was like,
Right.
dang, if I can change the look of somebody's car to make them look uh, more appealing to the naked eye,
Mhm.
why not? And then I found out that you can do businesses as well. So I was like, all right. So fast forward, when I
Yeah.
was in Atlanta, back in Atlanta, I was going doing smaller projects and everything. And then all of a sudden, I got to that stopping point with the job. And I was like,
Right.
let me just go ahead and let them go before they let me go. And took that leap of faith again and
Mhm.
haven't looked back.
Nice. Man, I remember I saw your profile on Instagram, and I was like, I I think I can see what you're doing, but I can't really tell how you're doing it. And I was
Yeah,
like, we got to talk about that. And I was blanking out. I was like, I know we know each other, but then I had to ask Ron because he put us back in contact, and I was like, what's going on? And now that you mention it, I was like, oh yeah, you were in architecture, and I guess they used to call it architecture because you guys would basically be sleeping in the building, basically where you've been studying 24/7, and we'd see you guys like one time out of the week, maybe
yeah,
Sunday
yeah,
in the dining hall, and it's like, oh man, you doing okay over there? It's like, yep. It's like a couple more years, and then they just slowly dwindled down the group, where it
yeah,
was like you guys start with like 200, and then it works its way down to 20 or
yeah,
5 by the time you're seniors. But
yeah. That I guess with being in that, it helped me uh discipline myself.
mm,
And that took it a long way because not only for what I'm doing now,
yeah.
but for when I started as an intern as in an architecture firm to becoming a project manager in an
Mhm.
architecture firm. Like that discipline of like, all right, you can go out and play,
Right.
or you can do this work and make a lot more money and
Mhm.
still have your fun, And
Right.
so that just helped me understand architecture. Schooling and everything is like up in the air and all of that. Some people have a lot of different ways of thinking about it. I really took it as like a form of networking because if I didn't go to school, if you didn't go to school, we wouldn't be talking today.
Right, right.
You know?
It's like, and especially with how I think about it with Southern Poly, I was I was kind of sad to go when I was going, and I was like, man, it's so much. I know people kind of look at you sideways if you leave Southern Poly and you go to tech, and then other people see it kind of like in the job market, like, oh, like it's the school name. But I was kind of thinking to myself at the time, I was talking with my older brother, and I was like, I know you got like the school name thing, but like this school is recognized in the job market for people because they teach you the skills here and you get to do it hands on. Like you're creating stuff. It's not just
Exactly.
in the books. And even with the civil engineering side, we had like the concrete canoe, obviously, and the steel bridge,
Yeah.
and the way that they competed. Like I didn't find out till I went to tech that tech was getting whipped up on so bad that they basically placed themselves out of that conference. They had to go to a different conference in order to like work their way back in.
Wow.
And yeah, but I mean, even the year that we the first year that I did the steel bridge at tech, there was 6 of us, and then we showed up to the regional conference, and it was just like we were wore out, just finished building our little bridge the night before, practicing in the parking lot. You got random people driving through the Home Depot parking lot yelling at us, nerds. And we're just like, we're sitting there just like, don't worry about it. Just let's just put this thing together. We'll be hiring them in a couple years. It's like just keep doing the work. But like we got up there, I think we I don't think we placed all that well, but somehow we qualified. But then you had the like regional and national competition was in the same area,
Hmm.
and we had it was Berkeley, I think, was the school UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley,
Yeah.
they won, and then you saw them up there with like 60 people on their team, and it's like it was their senior project essentially. So we sat there like, oh well, makes a big difference if you got to put this thing together in a couple of months just to qualify, and then you got everything else, work, school, and all that to worry about. But then when you get a bigger team where they make it their whole entire year thing, it's like that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that means that you got a lot more manpower,
Yeah,
a lot more brainstorming, a lot of creativity that goes on, and then motivation. You only
right.
got 6 people. I mean, you could still win just like you had 60, but
Hmm.
it wears down on you.
Right, right. But I mean, not to completely crap on on the school that I went to. The following year, we got it corrected. We got more people involved
Yeah,
and more activity. And I think they ended up we ended up placing that year. I think that's what happened. The first year we didn't place so high, so we didn't go to the next level. Then we placed, and then more and more people got interested. You got the underclassmen interested and doing a better job of networking and that type of thing.
okay.
Yeah, but let me not let me not take over the whole thing. I guess we should be talking about you. It's
Okay.
so kind of walk me through it. You went from I got to congratulate you. You graduated the architecture program. Not a lot of people do that. So
Yeah,
you worked that the internship, and then you went full time with the company.
yeah.
Got you. Okay.
And I started the internship while I was in school.
Hmm.
It was probably about 2 or 3 months before I graduated.
Right.
And then once I graduated, I got the full-time position.
Got you.
Um, it was an eye-opening experience just because um, most stuff that they teach you in school is not what they teach you in the actual company.
Right.
But as long as you keep learning and don't stop.
Hmm.
Some companies they just stop at one point. They just try to hone in on that one, and then it's 20 years later, and they got to pick up and try to figure out the next part of it.
Yeah.
Uh, I kept an open mind and just kept learning a lot of different things, and then motivated myself to really want to do it myself because at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of companies on how much they were charging and how much they was giving me,
Mm.
and I was just like, I could do this myself. Like,
Yeah.
let me sit back another year or two, understand the business side of it, what they don't teach me while I'm in the company, because they keep the hierarchy and everything like that.
Right.
But I just kept an open ear, open eye, and just kept watching, learning, questioning. Google is the answers a lot of questions, and with that being said, it's just that once I learned how to come from an intern to a project manager,
Hmm.
it I could use those same implications anywhere in any type of business, and it's gonna work.
Right. So, I mean, what got you then from when you went from the internship to the project management? What eventually led you over to Houston and in the car wrapping business?
So there was a few people that was at the company that I was at. They had left
Hmm.
to make their own company,
Okay.
and they moved to Houston. They seen my work ethic and they knew what I was capable of doing.
Got you.
Plus, I was cheap enough at that point, affordable, and they contacted me. They put a lot of time into me to help me get to where I was,
Hmm.
from an architectural designer to a project manager.
Got you.
And while I was in Houston, I the main thing that made me want to go to Houston, it was the fourth largest city in the nation.
Mm.
And I was like, why not? Because I was just starting to paint and everything, doing more artistic things, building furniture,
Right.
doing all of these different things. And I was like, I can make more money in Houston if I got
Hmm.
a lot more people.
Right.
Um, and then, you just say Texas alone, like people are 2 or 3 hours away, 9 hours away that is still in the state.
Hmm.
And you can easily just ship your work out while still shipping my work back to Atlanta.
Right.
Anybody that wanted it out there. But I knew that having a fresh face out there, along with people knowing me in Atlanta, it was a no-brainer. But working at that firm, like it was, for one, it was on the beach. It was in Galveston,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. Like
Right.
when you work from in Atlanta, and you're like either in the heart of Atlanta, where you got
Yeah.
the mid rises and everything, to where if you're on the outskirts, even anywhere, you could be anywhere from Gwinnett to Roswell,
Yeah.
all of these business parks that they have. So you still in like a business area, but when I was in
Right.
Galveston, I was 1 mile away from the beach. So like I could take lunch breaks and then just ride my bike straight to the beach just to clear my mind and everything and be in a different atmosphere. And so doing that, and I found out I love the heat. It's hot
Yeah.
9 months out of the year. So I was like, definitely.
Yeah.
But it helped me grow mentally,
Right.
learn to release, learn to understand what is really going on. I don't know how to play chess, but I can. Once I learn it, it'll be over with. But fast forward back to being in Houston, I had left that company because I knew my worth at that point. And another company had contacted me, and they seen what my worth was, and that at that point, the company that I was currently at couldn't afford me at that point. I was just like, I'm gone, because I'm doing a lot more work. Even that my colleagues that I graduated with are doing less work than I am, but making the same pay or if not more.
Right.
And so I was like, no, I'm not. I could have stayed in Atlanta and been easy work if I wanted to do this. Yeah, I took that on to myself to learn and get more because I know I wanted to better myself. And that was a transition to move up. And so I went, and that's when I transferred and moved to Houston, like deeper into Houston at that point. I went from Galveston, where it was the beach area, to Houston. And it gave me a whole lot of possibilities, because if I didn't move to Houston, I would have never seen that car. And it was a truck that was wrapped in chrome.
Right.
And so while I was at work in Houston, I had just got the Audi, like I said, and all of my friends at work we got a clear view to the main road, and so everybody was like, "Hey, look at this car, man! It looks so crazy. It's just goofy looking and everything." I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, that it has everybody in this office talking about this car."
Right.
And so I was just like, my car was just like a dark navy blue. It looked like a grandpa car. It was a really nice car though. It's an Audi. And so I was like, let me go over there, because I want to change this color and I don't want to paint it. And so I just started looking up more about wraps and everything.
Right.
And went to them. They had a really good price. And once I got there, and I was like, wow, y'all, they changed the whole look of the car and everything. And then I started, doing numbers, and I was like, well, the cost of the vinyl is this, the cost of labor is this, dismantle, prep, everything like that. And I started to really assess it. I was like, I could kind of do this. And then when I moved to Atlanta, because I was having my son, I had moved back here, and I had one of my friends that has a brother that has a shop in Stockbridge, and we were supposed to have a meeting.
Right.
And the only people that showed up to the meeting was the owner of the shop, which was my friend's brother, and me, not my friend.
Yeah.
My friend was supposed to be there because he was supposed to be the one that, hey, let's
mediate
each other.
Right. Right.
And he didn't show up. And then from then I learned, I was like, I should just do it on my own. Why not? And I started in my garage. And I started doing smaller projects, did a few of my cars, did a few of my family members' cars, and just started slowly getting better.
Gotcha.
I had, when I started taking on paying clients, these were starting to be some of my friends from Southern Poly, just random people that would see me. It was just like I was talking to them, or they knew me through somebody else.
Right.
But luckily, I had a good work ethic to where people would see it. Even if I messed up, they would call me back like, hey, man, this is peeling up. Hey, this is messing up right here. And
Mhm.
I was that type of person. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna come to that location and fix it
Oh,
instead of
nice.
create a bad rapport with
Right.
people and not fix what I done messed up,
Right.
And so that let me, that first year, I was like, all right, let's make yourself better, and
Mhm.
not faster.
Right.
Make sure that there's no more returns on it. So
Mhm.
um, once 6 months hit, I stopped. Not saying I stopped using YouTube, but I watched YouTube in the beginning part. So it wasn't just like me and
Right.
just going off to the willy nilly and just like, oh, I could do this and not
Right.
watching
Well,
anything.
I was gonna ask. I was like, how did you go from architecture to cars? But then I realized that in architecture, like a big part of it is you guys focus on art, and not only art, but being able to create it. Especially, it's like being able to. I think Ni Kojo had explained it to me once. Is saying that like you see an environment or you see a void or a room, you've got to be able to like make it come to life or make it work.
Yeah,
That's almost how you get people building trees or building tree houses
yeah.
and like living out in like the tiny homes and stuff like that.
Speaking of need, if you got his contact info, tell him to contact me. That man right there, he put me on Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, he that's a brilliant man right there. I haven't been able to get in contact with him, but I'll make that a point this coming month.
Yeah.
And if I get a hold of him, I'll make sure to reach out to him. When did he put you onto it?
He put me on to that in about 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
and
I remember he told me about it my freshman year, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm too busy. I got so much classwork to do. I can't read this extra book." And then I read it the year after I graduated college, and I was like, "Not smart. I missed out on a lot." But I was like, "Yep, Nee
yeah,
knows his
see,
stuff."
I did the same thing. So I was just like, man, first off, I'm not reading all these books because I'm reading a lot of books in school. Like, what am I reading an extra book for?
Right.
And the year after I graduated, I still didn't read the book. I listened to the audio book.
Mm,
And I would sit there because I couldn't be at work because that's the time that I feel like I was very productive
right.
was while I'm at work. Because when I get back to the house, it's cook, clean, and just try to figure out the rest of the day,
Mhm.
But like when I was on driving to work or sitting at work while I'm working on stuff, you could always have your earphones in and everything. So they didn't really care about that as long as the work was getting done. You're not doing nothing crazy, but
Right. Right.
listening to that, and I was just like, oh, let me write down that note. Okay, yeah, definitely. And it was
Yeah.
just from then on, I was just like, man, if I would have known this earlier, and I did, I just
Mhm.
didn't implement it or I didn't use it
Yeah.
to actually read it, to take the time to. But man, that would have been a very good eye opener.
But I mean, since the time you read it, it sounds like you applied some of those principles.
Yes, yes, definitely. There's a lot of principles to apply, and is some of them work in different areas. You have to get to certain levels to start to use those. A lot of people that come to me are at beginner stages,
Mhm.
or the ones that are at my stage, and they're just trying to figure out that next level. I give them a little bit of insight of what they should do to fine tune themselves. But going back off of it, yes, I did watch a lot of YouTube on rapping cars.
Mhm.
I was also in the art scene. So like, as you can see, that painting back there
Right.
was one of my first paintings that I ever done.
Nice.
Um, and I was building furniture. So I was pretty much getting my hands on to different things since I was out of school. But in school we was building models and everything else like that, just like
Right.
you was doing
Right.
with the bridge. And so that's one thing I liked about Southern Poly. We really got a lot of hands-on stuff. So it wasn't just behind the computer theory, everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so once I got out of school, I was still building stuff, doing different things, getting a little bit more creative um, when I had downtime, because I had a good amount of downtime. But once I started watching more YouTube channels on rapping cars and gaining confidence along with learning and gaining my knowledge, I started applying it and started rapping smaller cars, like I would say a roof or a hood,
Mhm.
different things like that. But then 6 months in, I had took a class
Yeah.
because I was like, all right, I'm good. but I want to be efficient. I want to treat it like breathing. And that's when you know you're really in that sweet spot. And so when I took that class, it just elevated me in 3 days.
Yeah.
It elevated me a lot because the people that I was rapping with at that time, they were better than me at that point.
Right.
But then when I started doing those things, and they was just like, dang, you really got good really fast. So I was like, y'all should have took the class. But that's one thing that I had to learn how to learn. YouTube, you can watch it until you're blue in the face, but once you see somebody and you start applying the same techniques and the same motions and everything going through all of the process, that's when you really learn and understand.
Right.
But with that being said, like once I knew the techniques, I had to get the experience and get more clientele, and that's where my I guess my marketing and how I started acquiring more clients. Sorry, I got a little one hanging up, but that's how I started acquiring more clients and really getting the know of business versus doing the service or working. And so I was like, all right, now let's go ahead and make it. Now I have a few mentors that are teaching me how to make your money make more money, because I don't want to be where I'm just still rapping cars and I'm 50 years old and I got to wait on the next car to come in. Just starting on different things now. And that's why, I came to get on this podcast with you, because it's like, man, this guy here has been doing the same, like not even the same thing, but like in the same motivation mindset. Like, all right, like I know we all in here together. Like we've been doing this.
We're on the same wavelength. It's like went to school together, like went different paths, but then it's like we come back and we kind of overlap.
Exactly.
And it's funny because when you mentioned we were talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad earlier, and I was thinking before, something that kept coming to mind with me like through 2020, as much as however you want to see it, what it was, it's like the one thing that kind of stuck out to me was that the Chicken Little story, where he's talking about the sky's falling, kind of not paying attention to all the noise and the hoopla. And a big thing with motivational people or people that are building businesses, their big thing that they always talk about is really being focused on what you've got going on. And the more you're focused on that, the less you're paying attention to this person said or that person said, because it's not really growing you. And like what somebody else says and does very rarely has a direct effect on you. And even if it does, it's you have to choose how you're going to respond to that. So it's like if you just want to react and be all up in arms like everybody, it's like, okay, then you go to sleep, you wake up, like, are you still going to be complaining about that thing, or are you going to go find a solution or do something different about it? But
that's a major factor, something that I live by a lot, because I catch myself complaining sometimes. But then I wake up, or it'll just dawn on me like, all right, so what you gonna do about it? Like, there's sometimes that it gets really tough, it's something where you just like, you have to sit back and just take your time. But you always have to make a solution. There's a lot of businesses out there that people just, they complain or make excuses or, pass off the work to somebody else. It's like, I don't know, I'll figure it out.
Right.
And I sit there, and because like, if I have anybody up under me or that wants to work with me, and they have that question and I don't have that answer, well, my answer is, well, I don't have the answer right now, but I'll figure it out. So that way we can, if we ever come back to this and have another problem like this, it'll be handled in a much better fashion.
That's good. And when I even made the comment earlier, it's like, I don't say it to kind of put anybody down. I'm saying that, like, from my perspective, I started the podcast 2019 fall, and it's like I really went at it, but then trying to do too many things at once at the start of 2020, I let go of the thing that I'd gotten really good at, because I spent almost a third of the year on it, and I was like recording, learning how to edit or learning how to put it on a platform. But then it was like, okay, maybe editing isn't my strong suit. So let me work with somebody that's very good at that. And then
Yeah.
I was able to find somebody and then find somebody else to help me kind of like put together something better. And during the time when I kind of stopped and then started back up, there was all of a sudden like a jump in the viewership. And I guess whoever was viewing, like they had content to view, but it's like because I stopped what I was doing, it's like there wasn't anything there to feed them anymore. And then a good friend of mine kind of asked me, it's like, okay, well, you've been sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. So now what are you going to do about it? You're in this group, you're in that group, but you're not paying attention. Like, do you intend to use it? And I'm sitting here like, I don't know. And we kind of sat there on the phone where it's just dead air for like a good 5, 10, 15 minutes. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything, but you decide and you let me know when you decide to do that. And I finally was like, well, after a lot of awkward calls, it was like, well, I guess I probably need to do the podcast. And it's like, if that's the best thing you want, like, I'm not telling you what to do, but whatever it is that you're choosing to do, like, commit to it in whatever way. If it's once a week, one day out of the week, like, just do it. And kind of like stop being so hard on yourself and just continue to show up like you were showing up before.
Yeah, consistency is key.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be consistent because it may not, you know, a lot of people nowadays, even myself, sometimes I catch myself in the same boat of like, oh, I want it to just pop right now. Like, no, is let this grow, because a lot of times when it say if the podcast really took off
Yeah.
and then you stop, you would lose a lot more.
Right.
And then everybody's gonna be like, well, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? And then you kind of be under the gun and, you know, under pressure now, like, oh man, I gotta do something to really put this
Right.
back out. And then, you know, you rather have it as a slow growth uphill instead
Mhm.
of like just a quick spike and then
Right.
it drops, because then you're in that roller coaster effect. And you
Mhm.
don't want to, you want to keep this that slow gradual and keep going up. You may have small divots or dips and everything,
Yeah.
but if it still keeps going up, that's a win right there. You got to keep your content coming, you know,
Right. Right.
creativity, new people, different ways that you approach it, you know, your
Yeah.
questions, all of that.
And I mean, something else that I learned too is that even towards the end where I wasn't like, I got kind of to the point where I was focused on putting out content, but then I stopped being intentional about what I was putting out. Like, I'll put out a Bible verse from time to time, but then it's like I almost got my personal devotion, like my personal time mixed up with like what I'm trying to do business wise or professionally. It's like part of that can feed in there, but then when it's just you've got random scriptures going up that's got nothing to do with what you've been presenting, it's kind of like what are you actually doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I like what you said earlier where you were talking about you had to learn how to become efficient, taking that class to where it almost became like breathing for you.
Yeah,
I was like that just caught my attention for a minute. I was like, huh, like I've heard ET Eric Thomas say you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, but
yeah,
I've never heard somebody say it like you said it, to where it's like it was that important to you that you just wanted to make it something that's smooth and effortless, that you didn't even like think about it. It just became part of your natural rhythm. Like you don't have to think about breathing.
exactly. You know, and that's what we call that second nature. Um, you know, a lot of people go to that 1,000 hour to 10,000 hour rule,
Hmm.
um, but nobody really tracks it.
Hmm.
Because, you know, in this day and age now, everybody's just, you know, on the go. We too busy. And
Right.
I used to take it to where every week I would or if not that day, if I got some time, I'll put up on my Google Sheets and I have hours already. Like, okay, how many hours I spent today on rapping? How many hours I spent today on rapping? And I would look back 2 to 3 months and see at when I hit 100 hours,
Mhm.
you know, I'm like, okay, what car did I rap? And I look at that
Mhm.
car, then all of a sudden I'll jump to the present day and I'm like, all right, what car did I rap then?
Right.
I'm like, wow, my work has really improved.
Mhm.
And then I try to depict why. And so like when I'm looking at this stuff and like you can just think about other things that are second nature, like tying your shoes,
Right.
you know, brushing your teeth. You don't think about them, but until you don't have them anymore, that ability, you don't
Mhm.
see how hard it really is. Blinking,
Mhm.
you don't
Right.
think about those, but it's certain stuff. Like once you get in that groove
Yeah.
of whether you're in work, whether you're working out, whether you're in a relationship, if the things that you do become second nature, you become way better at it.
That's
You
a
no
great point.
longer think,
Yeah.
you just know what to do at those points. And it goes much smoother. Now you can move efficiently. And um, the next step that I have is for me to be able to teach somebody. And that's what I've been doing, is teaching classes,
Yeah.
because I know how to do it.
Right.
And now I need to know how to explain it.
Mm.
You know, because I don't want to be the person with all of this knowledge and not wanting to give it out to anyone else. Like I'm like, no, like this is my business. No,
Right.
I want to grow somebody else's business that helped me grow, you know, or that doesn't know me, but they're in my shoes.
Right. Right.
And if I have that second nature of knowing how to rap, now I can teach you.
Mm.
Now I can do other projects and, you know, other things. Now I can have a team where they all have the same understanding of the procedures that I do and why I take it, how I do it, when do I do it,
Right.
you
And
know?
that
So,
and that's another point of what, like you're talking about, being able to make money or have your money make money for you, because it's like when you're able to teach, you're able to multiply yourself. And then we only have 24 hours in the day, but being able to do things like this, recording and then putting it out there and having that content kind of live on, it's like people find you, like you got into it because YouTube, of course, it's like it'll teach you so much, but at least it got you in the door. And then eventually you found somebody that taught you the skills you needed to know. And then now you're able to do that. And not only that, I I started looking at this funnel training course, where it's basically how um, people present ads online or whenever they want to present you something. So they'll say like 7 steps to do this. And
Mhm.
then basically with that, they have a result that they want to get you to. And then in order for you to get to that result, they'll give you a starting point, like what you need, and then the steps to get you there. And the way that the guy broke it down, it's it basically involves that teaching. Like you've got to map out the steps to get you from point A to point B. And then the steps that you're mapping out is basically what you understand. And
Yeah.
then how you teach it to them, it's you almost stage it to where at the first step you just kind of give them something and say, do it yourself. In another stage, it's like, okay, I can come here and do it with you, like kind of interacting like this. And then the next stage, it's like if it's something physical or tangible, he was talking about making a potato gun. So he's like, he made a DVD, and then he was like, okay, I can show you how to make it, and then I can just send you a kit. That way you have that already pre-made. You don't have to go out and shop for the tools and different items like that. So nowadays, a lot of people are doing webinars, especially where people can't be in the same area.
Yeah.
But it's like almost this thing seemed to come at a good time, because listening back now to some of the things I recorded in 2019, I'm like, it's crazy where we're we were talking this morning on uh, a business coaching call. It's called the morning meetup with David
Mhm.
Shands.
I know
And
Dave
oh,
Chan.
you know David. Okay.
Sleep is for suckers. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
him.
yeah. So man, he's got an amazing group, because he's just great at teaching. And I think he started this thing basically where it's kind of like the same funnel concept, where it's like, okay, for 7 days, you pay $7 and you get into my group, where it's like each morning I meet for an hour, and currently we're going through a book. Like we'll go through a book for the first 15 minutes, and then you'll have a guest segment where he'll interview them almost like he would on his podcast. And then people can interact like the last 15 minutes or so. And then if they can stay around longer, they stay around longer. And it's like the amount of value and information that he provides to people. It's like, if you don't think it's worth it for you to pay $1 to understand how to grow your business, it's like you might not be serious about growing your business.
Yeah. Because there's, I mean, that right there, you can't teach everybody, or let's not say this, you can teach everybody, but not everybody's going to learn that way.
Right, right.
Until you show them in a different perspective. Because, say, for instance, if you have a well-off person like E.T., people will pay $500, $700 just to go meet him and him talk, not even directly to you.
Right.
But then when it's somebody of a smaller magnitude, which is not saying David Shannon is not, but he is on his way. If he's not up there right now, he is on his way. He showed his success levels on how he got to where he's at. But people see that and they're like, $1, man. You jamming, or you just telling somebody else's story, or what? Right. And people, but then all of a sudden they'll turn around like, oh, but I gotta get that new bag, or I gotta get the new shoes, or little stuff like that. And I was like, why don't you just go to TJ Maxx, get you some nice shoes? You can still do both. You pay half of that amount, but then you can still pay $7 just to go do that, and also learn how to market. Right.
And I mean, the thing with Shands is, I think I just kind of got back into the group recently because, like, I think I signed up 2019 and I kind of got into it, and I met Shands through ET because he ET kind of showed him the ropes. He was he's his mentor. And one of the things that impressed me about him is because, like, if you go to a conference, you'll have you have motivational speakers, or you have someone like ET that speaks to your spirit because his background is in ministry. And Shands is very much business oriented. Right. And it was almost like the conference went from motivational to like, this is a business workshop. Like, I don't know what you're doing right now, but pull out a pen and a pad to write on. And it's like, you need to answer these questions right here. And the thing that's almost like a perfect match for him, his thing is like social proof, and you see it in what he does. And I think even kind of doing the $7 thing, I'm guessing it's probably temporary, but it's almost just creating a platform or an opportunity for the people that might not be able to afford it, or it's like kind of stripping away some of the excuses. But then after a while, it's like you can only do it short term, to where like he really likes teaching. That's why he makes himself available 5 days out of the week, every single morning. But even for somebody to do that, it's like you still got to put limits on it. Otherwise, like, if people come in wanting like all of this, all of that, it's like, okay, you have access to this. You don't only have access to me, you have access to like a millionaire 3 to 5 days out of the week. Isn't that, like, I'm not just saying the word millionaire, but like I almost feel like I'm doing a promo, but it's like just from what I've seen. But I guess like what I'm saying to you is social proof of what he's doing. So it's like, it's proof of concept. Like, I'm sitting here selling you on his thing, like without him telling me that hey, go do this for me. It's like, no, like, here's what you're getting as a result, and you just want to share it with somebody else that would appreciate it. Because, like, to your point, it has to be, you have to be somebody that's willing to learn that. back to what we were saying about the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, we both thought the same thing. I can't read it, don't have time, I got so much schoolwork. Graduate, we both graduate a year out of college. A year after, we listened to it, and we both listened to it on audio. And then it was like, I think for me, I had to listen to it a couple of times, and there were some things that I could implement, but things I still had doubts on. And the funnel thing that I told you about, I signed up through it. I signed up for it because it came from the Rich Dad Poor Dad thing. And I was like, okay, I know, like, I'm not going to, well, I'm not going to say that this isn't going to happen for me. Like, in my process to get back into the swing of things, part of what I was encouraged to do was to be open to everything, but attached to nothing. So it's like, if there's an opportunity that presents itself, my main focus right now is develop the podcast. So I'm diving into it, figuring out what I can do, whether it's like teaming up with somebody to do sponsorship or figure out how to monetize it. And it's like, okay, you might want to do video, you might want to improve that, but it's like the audio is good right now, so just present that. And I was like, okay, how can I make sure more people get the audio? I have the website that I set up so I can fix it, or at least improve it to where it's more user friendly. So then I kind of went through there, messed with that for about like 3 or 4 hours. You know how you get when you get into something. And after a while, I was like, okay, this is as good as I'm going to make it. Leave it alone. Otherwise, if I want to tweak it too much, I'm going to be here the whole week. And then at some point, it may require me to get a professional, but I'm just going to leave it here. This is something that I can manage, and I'm doing it because it's feeding me for the time being. And so long as I'm doing that, and the moment that I see that I'm doing too much, I need to back up, reach out to someone that's already helping me, and just be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I think I'm going too far with this. Like, can you help me kind of pull back? Because otherwise it's like, if you overdo it with the things that you like, you'll start to hate them and just be like, why the heck am I doing this thing?
Yeah. Let's to jump back off of what you were saying about David Shan. I didn't know anything about him until one of my guys that I had met through Instagram. He did car detailing and everything. He told me about the guy, and I was like, okay. He's like, they got an event, you should go to it. The event was like $20 or something like that. And I was like, all right, fine. But what made me go to it was not just because somebody told me. I looked at his Instagram, and he told me what he was doing, which I never experienced before, which was like human bingo. So if you're going in here, you should be coming in here as a business, and you should be looking to fill. Go ahead.
No, I keep interrupting, but when did you go? Because I think I went to this as well.
It was before COVID. I could tell you.
Was it January or 2019, December, November?
I want to say January.
Okay.
I want to say January. It was
gotcha.
one of the weeks in January.
Okay.
But we went there because I didn't experience anything like that. I've been to plenty of networking events, everything, but you know how the networking events go. People who know other people go there and they say, hey, what's up? And then they only congregate with themselves.
Right.
And the people that they know, but they don't reach out to anyone else. And he had a total different method that worked. Like you go in there looking for a videographer, looking for a model, looking for other products to sell, or if you need somebody that does videography or website building or coding or whatever that could build on your business. But not only that, grow their social media. They was doing simple, quick stories, stories, and they was just sharing each other's work, because a lot of people get stingy with their followers of like, oh, you can't get my followers, you're gonna try to take my business. And they didn't. The people that was there was open-minded to it, and they was seeing that yes, you could take my followers, but I can also take your followers.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I have, I'm growing more too.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and when I went there and I was talking to plenty of different people, and it's just like, I learned one thing
Mm-hmm.
before I ever went to this. I was like, if I'm going to an event, I want to
Mm-hmm.
be the only business that does this certain task. I was the
Mm-hmm.
only one that wrapped cars.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to a car wrapping event where I'm with thousands of other people that wrap cars.
Mm.
I've been to art shows like that. And that's when I learned that. I was like, why am I going to an art show when there's hundreds of other artists in here painting similar, if not the same or better stuff than I have?
Right.
And people are just coming to look. Like, no, I'm gonna go to these type of events where I'm the only artist or the
Mm-hmm.
only car rapper there. So
Right.
that way, when people see me, they immediately remember me.
Mm-hmm.
They immediately know my work, and they've already followed me. So that way, there's no questions asked. And now,
Gotcha.
fast forwarding it,
Mm-hmm.
um, that helped me understand how to not only grow the business, but I started
Mm-hmm.
watching him more, started learning from what he's doing.
Right.
Um, and then I didn't even know about the 7-day morning call that he had. So I was just like, okay, I might
Yeah.
try that.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
The I guess I was like, what is it? Well, well, I guess they talk about it every morning, and they're like, they have an affiliates link. So I was like, heck, let me get on that,
Exactly.
because I was like, if I can tell anybody about it, like, uh, whenever I used to watch like YouTube videos or things, I would always get annoyed at the ads and stuff like that. And then it's not until I realize what it represents. And like every time I see it now, I'm kind of just like, okay, well, go ahead, make your money.
Yeah.
But for this, I was thinking it's like, if I'm gonna tell someone about something, and I can and you can, how do they say, benefit from it, then why not? Like, instead of always cutting yourself short, like, even if I don't get anything from it, I think it it helps you more, because tomorrow's Friday. So you jump on and you see, I think today was like Q&A,
Hmm.
and basically the first part of it, that's what made me think about it earlier, was that when you were talking about you talked about something earlier, but basically today they talked about the slight edge, in the way that you never see, whenever you see somebody win the lottery, you never see a millionaire win the lottery. Like, there's never a millionaire or successful people winning the lottery, because those people don't play the lottery. They don't buy lottery tickets. And it went on to say that the um the way that you achieve something is not by, like, luck isn't what people think it is. It's not this, I just sent you the link. It's not this, like they say in the movies, deus ex machina. And he had us dying this morning, because he was saying it all kinds of ways. But that's another thing it kind of reminds me. It's like, you can't get so caught up on like perfecting things to where you miss the whole picture. But basically it's like, luck basically happens when you just prepared. Like, you keep doing the small things, and then if an opportunity comes up, you just take it, because you've been on your journey the whole way. So
Yeah.
like, he just did an interview with Grant Cardone, because he's down
Yeah.
in
I seen it.
Miami. And it's like, the same thing that he said to us is like, I'm pretty sure when people see this, they're gonna be like, oh, Dave was lucky. Like, it's because he's lucky. But it's like, the people that always speak a certain way, kind of like the same person that would see the event, like you said, and it's like, oh, this is $20. Why am I going to go pay $20? Like, you could buy dinner for that, or you could go watch a movie for that, or you could go. It's like, you went there, and for a couple of hours, you met maybe 9 or 10 other people you didn't know before, and people that could help you grow your business. And then you found out things about um, car wrapping that well, let me not say I don't know anything about car wrapping, but you probably did more for yourself in helping yourself in the car wrapping business than you would have, like you said, going to an art show and just having people come up and be like, "Oh, that looks nice," and then walk away.
Exactly. Yeah, I've gotten I didn't get immediate clients, and that's what my whole thing is. I don't really, not saying I don't care for immediate clients, but I
Mhm.
know that it's good to have immediate clients, but it is also good to have this, like myself, like I don't just buy. I don't just go to a store and just buy. Like I go look at how much it costs, go on
Right,
Amazon, look and see how much it costs,
right,
see the reviews, see what everything is about before I just go ahead and buy it.
right,
And so a lot
right.
of people do that too. And so they, that's the reason why I put out so much content or so much uh fruitful content,
Mhm.
because people see it and they're like, oh, this man, he told me a price, yeah. And then it's 3 to 6 months later, it's like, oh, I'm ready because that's
Right.
he
They
ain't
keep
slowed
they
down.
keep they keep seeing you putting it out and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, like look at that." Because
Exactly.
for me, it's like I'm not thinking about getting a car, but I was like, "Hey, you got to appreciate something good when you see something good." It's like you're doing some great work. Like that's all I've got to say. It's just like much respect.
Yeah, that's why when I seen the podcast, I was like, hey, I know that guy. I know him. And then I just started scrolling. I was like, okay. And I was like, my main question was, who are these people? And I
Mm,
started watching more and I was like, oh, okay. So that's okay. All right,
yeah.
cool. And then that's when I was just like, man, even if he don't put me on the podcast, I'm cool. I would just still watch it. I
Oh
don't
man.
care.
All you had to do is ask, and like the I guess you probably gathered who some of the people were, but like um a lot of it I got into the podcast because I watched other people do it. Like you've got like ET's got a podcast, you got Dave's got a podcast, Joe Rogan's a big one. He's
Yeah,
been on YouTube for the longest time. He just switched over to Spotify. But like being able to see like different people and kind of hear their background and see how they just knowing what other people do, I always found it kind of fascinating because that's one of the fun things about college, especially going to Southern Poly. It's like you you're coming from your town wherever it is. Like most of us were from Georgia, so like I was from North Georgia. You had people from around Atlanta, South Georgia, different things. But you just come in, meet people for the first time. Everyone just wants to. They're just friendly, and a lot of the people I met some from my job. I met some from mostly Breathe University, like the university that ET created online for people that want to improve themselves and just kind of uh, have a better lot in life. And with that, it's like just the type of people that he attracts. You have people that think differently, that think on a different wavelength, people
right.
that want to just do better for themselves. I guess I don't know if I'd say ironically, but a lot of the people that I've talked to are entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial minded, but um, a lot of them I've come to know as friends, and they just got along because, of course, you have someone that you have in common, and as you get to talking, the conversations flow. It's like, okay, this person's cool. I wonder what they do. Like, you'd see somebody post something in the group, and then you just say, "Hey, would you like to chat?" And people more times than not, they're just open and willing to talk. And some people are like, "What's a podcast?" I was like, "Well, it is whatever you make it." And you kind of get on here and you talk, and initially it seemed kind of simple, but then after a while I was like, I could do better with that. Like whenever I see Dave and I see other people, I'm like, it seems easy because I mean, somewhat it gets easy after you like practice and you get used to it. And then of course you can make it free flowing where you don't script anything, but you still got to prepare to like engage the person.
Exactly.
Because even like I text you before and I'm kind of glad you didn't see it. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna make it. Can we reschedule? Because I was like, I've been up since 3 or 4 in the morning and I forgot to take a nap. But I laid down for a minute And then it was 5 minutes till, and I was like, you know what? No, like stop. Like we're coming into this year with a new energy. Even if I've got to be outside of myself for a minute, like we hadn't talked for a while, so let me jump on there and check. If you didn't
Yeah.
see the message, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna roll with it and act like I'm not tired. And it's like that's kind of what you've got to do. But the thing that I learned from this year, from last year to this year, is that like do this, but space it out. Like don't try to cram like 3 to 5 in one day, like
Yeah.
especially if you hadn't prepared for it, because that requires endurance, like not only talking but listening and then being able to engage. And so far I think three three podcasts recorded this year, I feel better about it. The first one, it was rough, but the guest was very kind to me, and they always make it easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I hope I was able to make it
Yeah,
easy too.
yeah, you made it easy. I mean, your energy's just helping me out right there. I'm like, man, if he's fired up, if he's ready to go, I'm ready to go.
Let's do this. Yeah, man. There's a lot of times that I say I'm tired, but that's an excuse, until you can not walk or not, get yourself out of the bed, you're
Hmm.
not that tired.
No.
Because if say for instance this podcast and I was just like, hey, got $1 million for you if you get on this podcast with me. I bet you wouldn't be tired then. Yeah. And so that's what a lot of people that give me excuses, not the clients or anything. The clients don't really give me excuses.
Hmm.
Is the people that want to work with me. Some of them are like, I can't make it, or that's kind of far of a drive, or these days probably don't work, or stuff like that. And I understand, you got a life
Yeah.
situation. But when I ask them like, what's the reason? They're like, car trouble. I'm like, that's Uber. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to come every day, or it's too far. You contacted me, so
Mm.
why are you telling me it's too far?
Right.
Um, all of these things, but then I always hit them with the same things like, hey, if I told you I had $1 million, would you make it? Yeah. I was like, well, it's kind of that, but it's not immediate,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And anybody who even has a business and they don't get it started, I'm like, why you didn't get it started? And I hit them with that same question, like, if somebody told you there was $1 million behind it for you to get it started and get it going, would you do it? Like, yeah, well, you
Yeah.
are your own meal plan, like, make it.
Right. Right. Man, that's a great point. The yeah, I guess $1 million or whatever the number is, it's not what people think it is.
It's not. But that's the reason why you see a lot of people who, when YouTube pops up, on mine, I should say,
Mhm.
on mine, it pops up with somebody showing them $20,000, $10,000, like, I can get you this if you
Yeah.
watch here for the next 5 minutes. I see all of those now and everything, but the people that they capture is the ones captured by the materialistic things, seeing somebody pulling up in a Bentley, seeing
Right.
somebody getting out of $1 million house, or seeing new clothes or new watch and everything, or the money of it.
Hmm.
That's what captures a lot of people. That's why I say those things. Like, if I'm like, hey, if I told you I could promise you success,
Yeah.
people don't think of success. They just think of it as a word. They don't really see it's too vague for them. But when you say
Right.
an actual number, that's the
Hmm.
reason why Pinterest works very well, because if you look on Pinterest, it always shows numbers, and you'll always click on one that shows numbers. 7 best
Hmm.
ways to do this,
Right.
5 tips on how to do that, 3 ways to make your life better. You will
Hmm.
always see that, and it's always going to be clicked on more than let me show you how to make it better.
Right. But I mean, even with Pinterest doing that, that goes back to the funneling thing again, because it's like that's a perfect way of learning how to talk to people. And another thing that I got into last year was, um, I guess you could call it almost like human psychology, or a lot of people refer to it as like the DISC assessment, where it's um, understanding that there's 4 different categories of people generally, or people have certain preferences. So you got to be able to talk to each type of person in a different way, because you have some people that just need the information right now. Like they don't want a story, they don't want um, this, that. It's like just get to the point. then you have other people that want like the story, they want to feel something with what you're selling. So it's like when you show them your cars, they're able to see it. And then um, being able to build a relationship with you through your consistency over and over. So somebody can kind of like scroll through your timeline and be like, oh, okay, like he's like, I thought about it last month, but okay, I'm back. He's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then you have other people where like, how much is this gonna cost? How long is it gonna take? That type of thing. And like being able to kind of piecemeal those things in your message, it really get people's attention.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm still learning. When you said that, I was like, huh, I need to look at these 4 different types of people, and let me when I can, well, I don't want to categorize them when I spot one,
Yeah.
but at least I know how to attempt to approach that person at that point. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me give them exactly what they want, which I do. But now if I know what they like, what type of category they're in,
Yeah.
it helps me not jump to the wrong category on them. And
Right.
just give them
Right.
something like, say, for instance, somebody wants to know the story. And
Right.
then I just give them the numbers behind it and everything. Like, it's going to get done in this time. This is how long it's going to take. This is how much it's going to cost. You know, these are the things that we do. When people want to be like, oh, man, what made you do this? Why does it look like this? How does it do that? That's when you got to figure out those types of people.
Right. Right. Yeah.
What made you want to start this podcast, though?
So, I mean, starting the podcast was, what was it? I came home from work. I basically was just like coming off of burnout and like listening to Joe Rogan, and he had a psychologist on there, a clinical psychologist and a professor as well out of Canada, and he was talking about like their podcast was maybe like 3 hours, and they'd done like six sessions on like different times, and he just kept talking about kind of putting your life together and different things that you could do to find purpose in your life. And I always enjoyed talking with people, and I figured I'm listening to people talk amongst themselves, I'm learning stuff from them, and I was like, they're interesting enough for me to talk to. And I've been enough places through high school, college, work, construction, different things like that, Breathe University, Sleepless Nights, all those groups. It's like out of all that, I'm pretty sure I can find people to talk to and that are willing to engage in conversation and that I genuinely want to know more about. So I was like, it'd be a great avenue to engage with people, but also kind of give it almost like a business venture, like to be like, okay, these people are doing this, but I wonder what it takes to be able to produce something like that. And kind of starting with nothing fancy, just like my computer webcam, found a mic from watching YouTube, figuring out, okay, here's how you start. Just start with what you got, go from there. Here's some of the programs. Here's like I use Anchor for a lot of the or I use it for a lot of the distribution because it works on multiple platforms. And then a lot of the webinars that I got into, they use Zoom. So I was like, okay, I'll just use the Zoom meeting, record it, just send the link to somebody else, and then you just meet here. They don't have to go anywhere. We just meet at a specific time and then go from there.
Yeah, that was good, man. Well, I can say this, man. You gotta keep going on it. You gotta find people. You gotta do one with David Shan.
Yeah, I do. That's the yeah, I do. I'll just leave it there because I know I talked with someone that I talked with Karen Pilgrim. She does vision boarding, and I talked with her I think in 2019 or it might have been 2020, and I was going up to do the coaching training to get certified in becoming a I guess you'd call it like a disc facilitator, where you can have somebody take the test and explain to them how their behavioral personality, breaks down like why they choose to do, well, I forget. It's like, I'll remember it later, but it's basically like, here are your preferences and here's why these are your preferences based on how you grew up from the age of 7. Is
Right.
like your personality is already kind of defined by that point. So I think I'd run into, she encouraged me to talk to ET. She's like, you got to go and reach out to somebody that scares you. And I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, well, yeah, I should interview ET. And I was like, it crossed my mind because I ran into Shan's up there, and yeah, you're right. I got to interview him because it's one of those things. It's like I'm doing the preparation work right now, and he's someone that's willing and open, but he just kind of dares you to say, hey, if you're about it, just be about it and just show up. Don't overthink it. Just show up.
Right.
And he's just in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
are you in Atlanta?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in
Okay,
Atlanta. Yeah, I have
gotcha.
you back here, and that's where I'm at now. So yeah.
Okay. So then I have to come down and link up with you because
Yeah.
aside from this, I'm not too tied up now.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Like there's plenty of cars to be. You'll see me, and if you come anytime during before 6,
Yeah,
I'm rapping. So,
nice. So you want to tell the people where they can find you and everything like that?
oh yeah. So you can find me anywhere on the internet. um, Even if you want to take a class, you could just type in vinyl rap classes in Atlanta. But on my social media handles, you can find me on Instagram at all ALL _EN _cars. Um, or you could just type in Atlanta vinyl raps and you'll see me pop up.
Mm,
You can also check out my website, which is www.allencars, which is Allen Cars, ALLEN cars.net. Give me a call, send me a message, whatever way that you want to do it. I'm always here, whether you want to talk to me about car raps or vinyl rap class, or you just talk to me about the business and everything, how everything goes. Just give me a call, send me a message, DMs, whatever.
awesome.
All right, well, cool, man. Did you have any other questions for me?
Um, well, I guess there's this question that I always started with, but I kind of skipped over it. But who do you say you are?
Good question. Um, that's a good one. That's a really good one because I am what everyone thinks I am. You know, whether I'm a bad person, whether I'm a evil person. When I say evil, it's just like some people I brush off. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Mhm.
But then as I get a lot more that are saying I'm motivated, I'm helpful, uh, innovative, creative. I'm the go-to person whenever it's business. I'm the person that they need to just talk to get stuff off their chest. I'm the person that's always gonna. If you talk to me about something getting off your chest, I'm gonna tell you straight up truth. I'm not gonna sugarcoat
Mm,
it. Like, oh yeah, it's okay. Pat you on the back. No, I'm not here for that. Like, this is why it happened. This is how you're gonna fix it, and you should fix it yourself. I'm not gonna fix it for you.
mm.
So I'm a person of many faces, you know, business, relations, you name it. So who I am is what you want me to be. So when you
Gotcha.
contact me, that's who I am for you.
Mm. Another one. How do you define the hype in your industry?
Well, there's a lot of hype in this industry. Uh, you always have the people that are skyrocketing, that are doing great things, and then you got people that are doing great things or skyrocketing but not doing great things. You know,
Mm,
they're just doing it for the gram, for the
mm.
likes.
Right.
Um, but me, I don't care for the hype or the that much of the what everybody's shooting for. I'm
Right.
shooting for consistency. I'm the guy that's like a lot of people don't realize that Amazon, I mean, not Amazon, but Google and Yahoo came out at the same time. Everybody was on Yahoo, but then look at Google.
Yeah.
You know, it's consistency, how you elevate yourself, you know. And so you can keep the hype.
Yeah.
I want the royalties and I want the acknowledgement later. You know, just like, hey, that was the guy that you should have watched, you know,
Right.
you see him coming. Now look at him.
I almost forgot YouTube was, or not YouTube, but Yahoo was still around.
Exactly. Like
Right.
you be like, what's your Gmail account? And then somebody says, yeah, it's at Yahoo. Like, what? You got a Yahoo? What?
I remember somebody had said before, they're like, they talked to a recruiter and they said if you don't have a it was either, or it might have been for business, and they said if you have a like an older account like a Yahoo or even a Gmail account, they're like, they're not taking a second look at you. Like if you haven't made the commitment to sign up for something professional,
Yeah.
or if they're looking to hire you and they're like, what's this person like, what is that, like 1997, like you
Yeah.
hadn't changed your email since.
Yeah. AOL, Hotmail,
Yeah, but
all of those.
I guess how would you define the hustle then in what you do? Like how important is that to you?
Oh, that's number one, really. You know, the hustle is sold separately and everything. Um, I've I've worked with plenty of people that do exactly what I do, if not better. But my hustle is different from theirs. My content, as you can see, like is something different. Like I give them more than what. Yeah, I could be cool, you know, and just be like, oh, you know, here's the cool car, and let's. No, I want to give you something to make you watch it and laugh, giggle a little bit, or like, hey, this guy's corny, but his cars are cool. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna give you that, you know, because it my hustle, that's where it goes. That marketing to just getting the client, how I approach the client when they contact me, or how do I go find them, to going to the different types of networking events, to going to a car show. Sometimes I haven't even, to be honest with you, I haven't been to a car show. Not even due to COVID. I said I was going to go to a few of them, and they've had plenty of them, you know, but I don't go because it's just, there's plenty of other people that are photographers and people that are, there's car lovers, and that's the main thing. But then there's people that's car rappers that are just going there just to rap, like showing, hey man, no, I'm gonna send all of my cars there, all of my clients that love their cars, they're gonna go and you're gonna hear about me and you're gonna know about me, and then you're gonna click on my work, and then you're gonna see everything that I've been doing. And that's how I get you.
Right.
Because from then on, you're not ever gonna leave, because you can easily say, like, yeah, he raps cars, but yeah, you never seen any of my videos on anybody else's page like that. You're not gonna see that. And you know, everybody wants, you know, my prices are not ever gonna be low. Like they're not gonna be the cheapest.
Right.
Why? Like I'm not a cheap person. I'm gonna pay for what I like too.
Right.
And the person who's gonna pay for what they like, those are my ideal clients. I don't need the clients that are, they want, well, I can't say they want Gucci, but they go to TJ Maxx. Because I may be the price of TJ Maxx. I'm not Gucci prices. But I'm definitely not Walmart prices or Robinson Salvage prices. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So like, I'm not rollback prices.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm good quality, but you're gonna pay for what you get, you know, and it's gonna be something that you'll be comfortable driving around in.
Right.
So my
That's
hustle,
good.
whew, that we could have talked all about that the whole podcast. It's just about the hustle. Like,
hey man, if you, whenever you want to do another one, we'll do another one. But
yeah,
I just thought about something when you were talking about not going to the car shows anymore. I was thinking, what have you gained not going to those, and also what have you gained from 2020? I know a lot of people are talking about 2020 in the negative, but being in the new year and just wanting to turn over a new leaf, I want to kind of see, like, did you gain anything from 2020?
I gained everything from 2020. So not going to the car shows and everything, it didn't equate to me on the numbers. So like, yeah, if I go in there, I'm gonna bring one of my cars, even if it's one of my clients' cars, and I'm paying $50 to $200 to $300, maybe $600 at max. That means that I have to get one client for it to at least balance out. But I can pay that same amount on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Google, and I get roughly about 50 clients, 30 to 40 clients. Let's even walk it down. We'll say 10 clients off of $100 post. I'm getting 10 clients. Now, those same 10 clients are car lovers that are specified just for that. That's what they're in there for. That's what they wanted. They was looking for me.
Right.
And now I got 10 clients in that same day that I was sitting at the house instead of going to that show, or wrapping a car instead of going to that show. I got 10 clients that are going to get their cars wrapped and then go to that show. Now they see me and now they're going to be like, whoa, this guy got 10 more cars a year. How is he doing this? But everybody else here is scavenging for a client.
Right.
Then 2020, it put me on a whole new outlook on things. I've always looked for those times when everything looks like it's about to crash. I enjoy those because that's how you know if you're strong or not. Like when it gets down to those points where it's that your back is against the wall, that's when you figure out like, okay, can I make this work?
Right.
So now I know that if I've made it work in 2020, and they are talking about every year after that is building up, just let's backtrack. I didn't go through in New Orleans. I didn't live in New Orleans, but Katrina put everybody back, or most of the people back to ground zero in Katrina. Now it's an upward trend. Now New Orleans is back on it. Mardi Gras still goes on. 2020 was that same thing. It was just a bigger pandemic at that point. And so now I know that I started at the bottom of it, and now I'm just on the rise up now. A lot of people are making more money, so will I.
That's good. That's good. The man. I like your energy, man. It's contagious. That's a good thing.
Ooh, wait until we have the next podcast on the hustle.
Yeah.
Just label it as the hustle is sold separately. That's all we're gonna call it.
All right. I'll leave it there. I think that's a good point, because it's like there's no reason to spoil a good thing. I think this needs some time to just simmer. It might take me a little bit to put it out, a couple months, because I've got some backlog, but it'll be out. And I mean, whenever you want to, well, I'll figure things out on my end and probably put up a schedule like I had before. But if you want to record or you got something coming up one day, let me know.
Okay, definitely. All right, well, cool, man.
This was fun. It's good to see you. Good to see that you're doing well, you're healthy, you're living life, making the most of it.
Yes, man. The same here, man. I'm glad you started this, man, because it's my time and it's your time too. So
yes, sir.
Well, shoot, man. Go ahead and have the rest of your night and enjoy yourself, man. And we'll keep in contact so we can, bounce ideas off everything that we just talked about too. Okay.
Okay. I'll text you my number on IG.
All right. Man.
All right. Take care.